Hello and welcome to another Purveyor of Light Photoshop Quick Tip. Today we're going to cover text. More importantly, applying text to an object within Photoshop. That object could be a book, a hat, or a t-shirt, a jacket, etc. Anywhere you want to turn around and make text appear like it belongs on that object. So that's what we're going to do today. Okay, a lot of us have, know the basics on how to make a text layer and just apply it on the book, but it doesn't look real. It looks like just that, like it was photoshopped on the book. And I'm going to show you today how we can use some techniques that will help make that more realistic, like it was actually there, imprinted on the book or the hat or the towel or whatever you're applying the image to. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So, as all of us know, it's real easy to make a text layer. So I'm going to take the text tool here, and I am going to draw out a rectangle approximately the size of the cover of the book. And then I am going to just paste in some text I have here. Okay, and there's my fake book title. And as you can see, it looks fake. Okay, I can apply it, and there it is. It's doesn't look very real. It doesn't go with the angle of the book or the way the cover is being held. And we have the author's name over the fingers here, and so we've got some work to do. And so that's what I suggest that you do first off is sit back, lift up your coffee, and go look at the image, and then pick out every single thing that gives it away that the fact that the text doesn't belong here. I look at it and I go, it's not going the way the book cover is actually tilting. She has the book partially open, and we're coming on this diagonal area here, and like we said, the author's name is over the fingers. We zoom in, we just look like the text is just pasted on top of the book, and it's not really on the book cover or imprinted on the book cover. So those are our main issues, and the rest would be lighting, which we'll do that last in this. Okay. All right. So we've got our thing, got our text. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to create the text as a smart object. Okay. And so on the layer that's the text layer, I just want you to right click on it, and then I want you to scroll down and find Convert to Smart Object. Okay, and what that does is it turns around and takes the text layer and converts it over into a smart object. As you see, we don't have the big letter T on that layer because it's no longer a text layer. If you do need to, for whatever reason, come in and edit the text, it's not a problem. Just double click on it, and then you can come into a special window with the original text, and you can come in and alter your text. And then once you save it in this, you can close it up, and it'll update your other photo. Okay, that's the beauty of smart filters, smart layers, and all that, is we can come back and make adjustments. Okay, so now we have this. I'm saying, okay, I'm going to need a layer called a displacement map, okay? And that is so that I can make the text interact with the cover. I want it to be more where you can actually see the text interweaving with the weave of the texture of the book cover. And so we're going to need a displacement map, and don't let that term dissuade you in any way. It's really child's play. It's nothing complicated, I promise you. Okay, so before we get too far into this, I want to turn off this layer, and I just want to go onto the background layer, and I want to get this and make an image that'll be a displacement. So easiest way to do this is go image and then duplicate. We have to give it a name. Okay, and I'm going to call this just blue cover displacement map. Long term, but okay, so now we have a duplicate image, and here's the original. Okay, and here is the displacement part. So I want to exaggerate the texture of the book. I want to really overdo it so that the computer can really see the texture of this cover. And to do that, I'm going to use a levels. So I'm going to come up to image adjustment, and then I'm going to go into levels. And I'm going to overdo it. Okay. And hopefully you'll be able to see this on the video, but I'm going to pull in the whites and I'm going to brighten it up. See, we're seeing that texture come in really hard. And I want to do that. I want that texture to really show. Okay. So now we've really enhanced that texture. And that's very important because we want Photoshop to have a good visual idea of how that texture is going up and down, and weaving. So now that we have that adjusted, now we're just simply going to save this, okay, as a displacement map. And so I'm going to save the displacement map, and I'm going to just save it in the default thing and save. Okay, and that's all we need to do. We have our displacement map, and I'll show you how to implement it in the next few steps. So we can go ahead and close that. There we are. Now we're back with our original image, and we can get back to work with our text. Okay, so getting back to our text, we have it on a smart layer, and I want to reposition it a little bit because it's not going with the book and that. And so I need to work with it a little bit. So I'm going to convert this so that I can transform it. So on this layer selected, Command or Control T, and you'll see I'll have the layer there. And now I have the ability to move this as a whole. And then I can right click on these. Okay. And I can choose from scale, rotate, screw, or perspective. Okay. Or even to distort. So I want to do perspective. Okay. I want to change this perspective of this a little bit. So with that selected, now when I move the corners, and I'm going to show you, I can actually change the perspective of how this text is. And I can match it up with the cover. Okay. And I can come over and do any of the perspective changes I want. And I'm using the book itself as a guide. And I'm bringing that over to make it more in line with the book. Okay. And then when I have that, I just go ahead and hit enter. And so I'm bringing it more in, and I'll turn around and do some more positioning of it. And that's looking better, more believable now. And so now I turn around and I go, okay, that's not looking too bad, but we still got some more work to do. So I am going to now. Okay, so looking at this, I have decided that the text is just a little bit too big because I'm running right almost to the edge of the book cover, and I don't like that effect. So I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller. So I'm going to double click on the smart object, and that's going to open up this. Okay. And I want to Command or Control T to give us a free transform. And then I'm just going to pull it in just a little bit, just so I have a little more breathing room. Okay. And then when I'm done, I commit it and go ahead and close that up. Hit the check mark. Close up that and hit save. And that's going to automatically update our original document, as you can see. And now the text is looking a lot better sizing on the book cover. Okay, so minor adjustment. Okay, and again, don't worry about the author's name because we're going to take care of that separately. So, all right, so that looks good. The last thing we need to do is, like I said, we need to have the text interact with the texture, and we needed a displacement map for that to happen. So, I'm going to use our displacement map now by taking this one here, and I'm going up to filter, and then distort, and then I'm going to go to displace. And the next dialog box open, and it's got a horizontal scale of 10, a vertical scale of 10. That's the default when you open it up. It's simply the amount, how much it's going to raise and lower the texture of the interfacing with the fabric. Okay, what's the correct value? I have no idea. Okay, and that's one of the reasons I made this a smart object, is so that we can do a couple settings and see what looks best for us. We'll go ahead and leave it at 10, and everything else is default. Okay, we told it to embed it right into the smart object, so we're good. And we hit OK. And then it's going to say, well, where's that displacement map you're talking about? And the displacement map I have, okay, is blue cover displacement map. There it is. And I hit OK. And it says here, displacement maps must be 8. Okay. A very good point, and an error that you got to see in live time. I forgot that half of Photoshop doesn't support 16-bit images. Half of the tools and filters and things only support 8-bit. And my image is 16. Okay, we can tell that by here up at the file name. We can look at the very end, and you'll see that it says RGB/16. That means this is 16-bit. Again, these displacement things and these filters do not work with 16. I do not know why Adobe has not updated this. There's no excuse in this matter for how long we've been waiting for everything to be updated to 16. So, well, I'll leave my rant on another day. But nevertheless, I got to change the image to 8-bit. So I'm going to go up to image, and then I'm going to go up to mode, and then I'm going to change it from 16 bits per channel down to the 8-bit. Okay? So now you look at it ends in RGB/8. So now our image has been changed to 8-bit. Okay? A minor thing. And I didn't notice, to tell you the truth, if the displacement map we had was also 16. So I'm going to have to open that to make sure that it is. So that's the blue cover displacement. And it is indeed 16 as well. So I'm going to have to alter it as well. So you get to see me make mistakes in real time. So you know I'm a human and not an AI bot. I'm going to switch that to 16 to 8, and I'm going to resave it. Okay, and then now we'll close this back up. So now we have our image set to 8, our displacement map is 8. Now we can utilize these filters. So again, on that same layer, we're going to repeat filter and distort and displace. Back to the 10 and 10, we hit OK. It says, where's the displacement map? We go, here it is. And there it is. Okay? Again, lesson learned. This is not anybody making mistakes. This is just Adobe not taking care of their product. Okay? And I am free to say that because I have never been a fan of the subscription alligator per month. And if you're going to do that model, then you better be damn well near perfect, in my opinion, and not sit there tell me, 5 years later that you still haven't fixed things in the program. That's not acceptable. All right, I'm going to get off my rant, and I apologize to everybody because I know you guys are all wonderful people. So I'll come in and I look at it, and you can see how much it really displaced it. And I think 10 was a little bit too much, don't you? I really do. I think it's too much. So we made it a smart filter, remember? So we can come in and change it. You see here, we have the layer and then the smart filter and then displace. We could simply just open up by clicking on that and now change the value. Let's try something better. Let's try 5. Let's see how that looks on displacing it on the cover. Same thing, we go through the displacement map, and I'm looking, and that's looking better. What do you think? I'm thinking that's not bad, but I'm still thinking it's a little too much. So I'm going to come back into displace one more time, and I'm going to go, we'll go 2. All right. And hit OK. Displacement map again. Okay, and that to me is looking pretty good. I think that's just enough to make you think. You see how now we're not so sharp on the edges, and we're just slightly starting to bend with it. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Okay. But I'm going to look at it and I'm going to do it one more time, and that's why we made it a smart object. I'm going to do 3. And that's the beauty of smart objects, is I keep coming in and make changes and I don't lose my progress. Here we go. Boom. Yeah, there we go. I'm liking that. That looks more with the cover. Yep, I'm there. I made my decision. We're going with a displacement map of 3. All right. So there we go. We have now put the text in. We have changed the aspect ratio. We have changed its proportion. And we now have used a displacement map to have the text interact with the texture of the book. So we are looking much, much better. But we're not done. So the next thing I want to do is, so now we're going to have to do some what I call attention to detail. And so this is a lot of detail that people miss when they're doing their edits and things. I want you to look at the spine, okay, of the book. You notice how half of the spine is a highlight and the right side is in a shadow. And this is really important because even lighting gives away fake edits. All right. And so we have right now on the text flat lighting. It's even all the way across. And that's not how it would look if it was real. So just like this spine is light on the left and dark on the right. And we even look at the whole back cover. If you pay attention, you look here. It's darker here and lighter as we go here. So we need to follow up with that, okay, in our situations. And so I'm going to make 2 blank layers. So 1 and 2, okay? And I'm going to call the first one highlight. And then the second one, I'm going to call it the shadow. You can call yours whatever you wish. It's just so we can keep it straight. So highlight means I want something to make lighter. And I'm just going to use the spine of the book as my my reference. So I'm going to get the paintbrush. And I'm going to choose a brush that's very soft. Because I don't want it to look blotchy. I'm going to go the flow really low. Maybe, I don't know. We'll try to be an aggressive 30, I guess. Somewhere about there. And I want to use a color that is going to signify the highlight. And why not use the spine itself, right? So I could borrow the colors from the spine. So using the eyedropper, I come over and I could use, this is my highlight color, and that puts it right there. All right, so now I go back to my paintbrush, and with a flow of 30, I could come in and I can paint, okay, the highlight in the book. Now, I am doing this deliberately patchy. All right. Now, there's one thing you'll notice, it's painting everywhere, right? And I only want it to be restricted to my text. Okay? The highlighting, I want to be restricted to text. So under the highlight layer, I'm going to hold my Alt or Option key in between the layers, which will cause that down arrow there, which means I'm going to make a clipping mask and clip. And now you see what that does. You see that? That causes it to blend and be restricted just to the text. So now I'm going to go up to the shadow, and I'm going to pick a shadow color. All right. So we'll come up to our eyedropper, and I'm going to pick a shadow color. All right. Maybe there. And then I'm going to go back to the paintbrush. And now this time I'm going to paint over here into the shadows. Okay. And again, not evenly, right? Because we don't want things to look fake. So I've done that. And now we do a clipping mask on this as well. Alt or Option, clip. Now just look at the difference now of the book, and you can see I overdid a little bit on the shadow. Not a problem. I can just change the opacity slightly. Okay? So I drop that down just a little bit. But these little details, okay? I'm going to take these, and look at the difference that I'm doing here before and after. This is what makes the realism. It makes you start to believe that this is really the way the book was, and it's just a picture of it. All right? So, there we go. Now we've done our realism on the book. We have our thing. We've got our ratio. We've got our aspect thing. We're looking good. We're not done, but we're looking better. All right, so the next thing I want to do is I want to do some bevel and embossing on this so that the text, instead of being flat on the thing, I want it to have a little bevel emboss. So I want to turn around and do the best to come in on this. So I'm going to right click on that smart layer and hit blending options. And that's going to open up the layer style for us. And I can just drag this over here, and you can see bevel emboss is right here. And I can click that, okay, and whatever settings it was by default, it's going to come in, and you can see what's happened here. The opacity, the general thing, whether you want to have things, okay. The first thing is up or down, okay. Do you want it up on the lettering and down on the lettering? The depth, okay, I don't want it to be too deep. I'm going to say 1%, and I'm watching the text on the right change as I do this. See? As I do this, I'm working on it. Do I want it to be down? Okay? And then looking at it. Okay? In this case, I'm going to leave it up, and I'm going to change the size. Okay? Looking at the picture. Now, here we're down to the shading area and the highlighting area. Okay? The highlighting area and the direction of what all of this is happening. Okay? So if I change the lighting, all right, I could change the direction for the light by moving this around. And you could see, I don't know how well this comes through with the thing, but I am changing the direction of the light. And I'm going to make it come from the left. Okay. And so that's looking pretty good. The highlight, opacity, and we can make any adjustments we need to turn around and change our highlight mode on that. And we can preview on and off. And again, this is where video tutorials sometimes fail with YouTube's compression. You may not be able to see the effect. You may or may not. I'm trying to do it a little bit hard so that you can see it. But trust me, when you're doing the edit yourself, you will see these subtle changes. All right, so now we're going to put the finishing things. We remember we had the author's name overlapping this hand. So we need to fix this. So I've turned off all the visibility on all layers except the background. And then I'm going to turn around and use our quick selection tool. And I am just going to quickly select the hand. Just come in and do that. And again, looking for a good selection. All right, we'll do a select and mask. And we'll change the view here to on black just so we can see how we are. And that's looking pretty good. All right, I can come in and say, okay, I don't care about this part because this part is not going to be overlapped with it. I'm only really concerned about the fingers. All right, so that's looking pretty good. So I may just turn around and just come out on a new layer, and I'm going to go with output with a new layer with a layer mask. So I can make adjustments if I need to and hit OK. And so now we have a hand. All right. This is a new layer with just the hand selected. Okay. Now I'm going to take this hand and I'm going to drag it up. All the way up. Okay. And now I'm going to turn back on all the layers. You'll notice that the text is now flowing behind our thing. So now we have that added realism that we now even have a book being held. Okay, so we're covering the small details to make things realistic. Okay, and these things go a long way in making the realism. So that was the whole purpose of this video. I apologize that your instructor here was half wacko today and making way more mistakes than he should have. I definitely should have had more coffee, and I should turn around and have somebody slap me a few times. But there you go. There's your realistic thing. We bring it into a full screen thing there, and you can see, because we've taken the time to take the small details, we now have a realistic result in the end. Okay, so that'll do it. I have rambled on very long, much longer than I wanted to. I apologize for my mistakes and stupidity, but hey, that's all part of being human, and that's the way we roll. All right, till next week, guys, you take care.